The latest fragrance from Imaginary Authors is supposedly straight up horse. Hey Fragrance family, I'm Dave with the Fragrance Bros, of course your best source for everything fragrance related. Today I have a review of the latest fragrance, or I think it's the latest fragrance, from Imaginary Authors. I know they released a couple of fragrances this year, a few fragrances, and I'm catching up to those releases. I love Imaginary Authors, I love what they do. They have a really artistic style about them, yet they're also really wearable, really enjoyable fragrances from them. And one of their latest fragrances is called Untamable. And I don't have a full bottle, I just have this sample, so I guess you'll just have to look at this little vial right here. Now, Untamable has an interesting story. This first came about in April 1st, April Fools rather, and it was a post just saying that it had notes of like cowboy and sarsaparilla and horse and leather and different things like that. Campfire, whole bunch of different things. It kind of was reminiscent of the West, cowboys in the West. When I saw it, I was really intrigued just for the theme of it. Not even thinking about what the notes would smell like, just thinking about the imagery, the sense of place I thought was great. Fast forward to not too long ago and they release Untamable with a slightly different note list from what I recall anyway, but it is still wild. Now, date introduced was 2024, this year as of this recording. Notes in this are leather saddle, tonka resin, saguaro blossom, Texas yellow star, cumin, tumbleweed, and pasofino. Now, season, I think this is definitely fall and winter, probably mostly winter, for me anyway. And I think you can wear this day or night, but I would probably prefer this at nighttime. Occasion for me, I think, is casual. I'm trying to think of any other occasion. Maybe formal if they really like those weird fragrances. This is a little out there, so you just want to be careful with this one. Now, longevity and projection I thought were great. Longevity was beast mode. It was so good. It lasted easily 15 hours or so on me. I mean, it lasted a long time. Projection was excellent. It really likes to project, partly because of the notes are just really loud in this fragrance. Now, I don't think it's going to necessarily fill the room, but it will hang outside of your bubble for sure. Now, around the time that this fragrance came out, a friend of mine told me that I would hate this fragrance, and he said that I would think it just smells like horse. I thought that was a challenge that I needed to accept because, first of all, I love Imaginary Authors, but secondly, I want to try those challenging fragrances to see if I like them or not. I like the challenge of it. And looking at the notes, I really don't know most of these notes. There's just a few that I can recognize here. Some of them are very different, but the last note in here, pasofino, is a horse breed, which I thought was hilarious. Now, when I spray this on skin versus when I spray this on paper, got a little sample card here, they're a little bit different. Skin, I think, does smell better, but there's aspects of it that I think are a little bit louder on paper. For me, whenever I spray this on paper, I immediately get the leather. You get the leather like a leather jacket. That comes through very clearly. When I spray this on skin, though, I don't really get the leather note as far as kind of the leather feeling. I get more of a labdanum type of presence here. Rock rose, labdanum, that type of thing. Now, labdanum does have a leathery quality to it, so it could be that that was used in the leather accord. You use notes to simulate a leather accord. That could be where what they're doing in this fragrance. I don't really know. When I spray this on my skin, it smells like an old school fragrance, like an old school leather type of fragrance, which I think is fascinating, and I do actually like that a lot. Something about old school masculine fragrances really had this contrast of kind of dirty and clean, which I've always thought was interesting, and they don't really do that the same today as they did back then. There is an almost animalic type of quality here that I guess I could associate with a horse. I admit, I don't really have that many smells associated with horse other than manure, which it does not smell like that. And then there is this very nice, pleasant, clean note in there, just buried, but it comes up every once in a while. It's almost a citrusy cleanness in there, which is interesting, and it smells great. I do get the tonka in here as well, and it adds a kind of sweetness here, which is very pleasant. This is definitely not a fragrance I was expecting to like. This was a fragrance I was expecting to hate, just from the name, just from the notes, from everything I've read about this. I was expecting not to like this, but I think this is one of the most brilliant fragrances in the Imaginary Authors line. It is very old school, but kind of reinterpreted and modernized. It's almost like like a remake of an old movie. You get all the classic hallmarks, but just with a nice fresh coat of paint. That's what I get with this style of fragrance. Very old school in its structure, but modern in its application. It smells very complex as well. There's a lot of very interesting things going on, and some of which I just don't know if I understand. Like, I don't know where the tumbleweed is, if that is a note. I don't know where the Texas Yellow Star is, or the saguaro blossom. I don't know where that is either. But there is a very nice freshness about it, very interesting leathery, ambery quality about it, with a little bit of an animal funk to it. This was far more wearable than I was expecting. I was expecting this to be washed off my hand within an hour, but it lingered for a long time and it was actually pleasant throughout the whole life to me. I really liked wearing it. Now, I don't know if anyone else in the world would like this whenever I'm wearing it. I think this might be a little off-putting to some people, but it's not unpleasant. I just think that it's a little bit challenging to the average person smelling this fragrance. This is not a summery aquatic that is easy to wear. This is not a citrus musky scent that is easy to wear. This is a very thick fragrance with a lot of leather and funkiness to it that is on the challenging side. If you like those type of fragrances, you've got to give this a chance. And I think if you want to try something that I think is brilliant, definitely give this a chance. But I will give this caveat, it is definitely not for everyone. I think there's a lot of people out there who may hate this. It's going to be a love or hate type of fragrance, I think. For me, as odd as this sounds, this is a love. I love this fragrance, and I really love the sense of place that it has. It does remind me of an old cowboy, just going to an abandoned mine or something like that out in California or Colorado or something like that. And I hope more people try this. Thankfully, they do sell samples on their website for a nice cost there, so you can go and check that out. But this is definitely worth a shot. Untamable is great. With that, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Fragrance X. Fragrance X is an online reseller that sells thousands of legitimate products for a discounted cost. If you're considering buying a fragrance, definitely check out Fragrance X. I'll have a link down below to them as well as a coupon. But also check out Rakuten.com. Rakuten.com is a website that offers you a rebate with every purchase that you make through their website. They actually have a deal with Fragrance X that offers you a certain percentage in rebates just by buying through Rakuten. So I'll have a link down below to them as well. Definitely check out Fragrance X and Rakuten together. Great. But I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of Untamable? Let me know down in the comments. I'll see you next time. I'm Dave with the Fragrance Bros.